Okay, boys, today we're going to talk about some UFC fighters that got pushed way too fast, alright? Whether they got pushed up the rankings way too fast, they just got dealt with a way tougher cookie than they should have, alright? There's lots of examples of this, especially recently, And yeah, I'm not going to be talking about examples like Bo Nickel and Gregory Rodriguez and Peyton Talbot. Those are fraud checks and people losing where they were pushed up slowly by like actual normal levels of competition where it made sense for them to win and they lost anyway. Those are not examples of this, okay? We're going to start with a good example of this in Stephen Erceg. Fuck, man, this is rough. And I know this is flyweight and you don't really have to do much to get into the rankings. You basically get one win and you're top 15, all right? Flyweight's so dead. That's literally how it is at this point, And, even if that's the case for flyweight, Stephen Erceg getting 2 decision wins off of nobodies and then KOing Matt Schnell and getting a fucking title shot? What are we doing? Or what were we doing? What did they do to Erceg, man? He's now on a 3-fight skid, losing a pretty close decision to the champion Pantoja, which makes you think, oh, he was ready, man. He almost beat the champ. I mean, he lost that fight. I was someone who was saying he lost or won it when the fight first ended, but no, he lost the fight pretty close, but that doesn't mean he was ready for it. It doesn't mean it should have happened, okay? Maybe if he'd actually gone up the rankings right and got a title shot after beating a few good ranked people, he could have won the belt and beat Pantoja. He's a bad style matchup for him. He's winning in a rematch, man. People forget, but Erceg now is on a 3-fight skid after losing to Pantoja, getting KO'd by fucking that gremlin. Kai Kara, who's getting a title shot now, which pisses me off even more. And then losing to Brandon Moreno, man. He's fucked! If he loses again, he's on a 4-fight skid. Why did the UFC do this to our boy, man? If you don't like Erceg, fuck you. Dude, Erceg is so cool. Good fighter, good guy, entertaining. I'd say the only fight I've been disappointed in him in is the Brandon Moreno fight. I wish he fought more in that fight with the intent to actually hurt Moreno. It looked like he was playing it very safe and just scared to get KO'd, which makes sense after a KO loss. But, he just got pushed way too fast, and it's unfortunate. I know this was around the time where they cut Muhammad Mokaev, and this was kind of like a protest, giving him a title shot. It was like, Dana was just thinking, give the kid the shot. Just give anyone the shot. Fuck Muhammad. We're cutting him. We're giving this kid the shot in the meantime. I believe this was a few months before they'd actually cut Muhammad. I think this was before Manel Cap versus Muhammad Mokaev. So, yeah. It just was a fuck situation. Erceg got done dirty. In his mind, he's like, oh, title shot after 3 wins? Sign me the fuck up, alright? I'm getting more money. I'm getting the opportunity. Don't have to work that hard for it. But it ended up biting him in the ass in his career. And now he's on a 3-fight losing streak. If he goes on a 4th, he could be cut. Yeah, it's not looking good, but, he's going to come back and win for sure. Yeah, I just think that he's the best example of this in recent times of a UFC fighter who was pushed way too damn fast. The next fighter I want to talk about is Ikram Aliskerov, alright? And this is a bit of a weird situation because it was a short notice fight where he got pushed up into a main event versus Robert Whittaker all of a sudden after, again, 3 wins. Just like Erceg, 3 wins in the UFC against literal bums. I know 185 is considered one of the worst weight classes when it comes to actual skill, but I mean, it's more stacked now than it was a couple years ago, but man, this dude was beating who? Phil Hawes or Wally Alvarez, dude, complete nobody, just trash. I'm sorry, I don't like calling fighters complete dog shit trash, but dude, he's knocking out nobodies, and he is a really good fighter, but dude, he was not ready for a 5-rounder against Whittaker, seeing as he got knocked out in the first round, and if you're getting KO'd by Whittaker, dude, that was Whittaker's first KO in 7 years or some shit. Bro, not a good look. But, yeah, he just should not have had this spot. It's all Hamzat's fault. He pulled out against Rob. And props to Ikram. Obviously, you're going to take this. Obviously, you're going to take this, like, the opportunity. You know, you're going to take it. You're, like, no matter how out of shape you are, how unconfident you are, dude, you're on a KO streak. You're a UFC fighter. Your ego's at an all-time high. He believes in his skills. He's obviously going to take the fight and think he can win and be like, oh, after Robert Whittaker win, I'm one fight away from a title shot. Let's take the fight, knock him out. We're good. But he ended up getting knocked out, all right? And he didn't go on a losing streak like Rob. He came back after a pretty healthy amount of time off, took a good layoff, which is smart. And, yeah, he came back and won against... Who did he win against? He just won very recently. He beat the guy pretty decisively. I forget. The fight was forgettable. I think he KO'd him, but yeah, he did. I think it was a ground and pound TKO against, what's his name? Andre Muniz. I knew his name, all right? Andre Muniz. He did beat him, came back. Andre was coming off, I think his name's Andre. He was coming off of like a really big layoff, so it's not like the most impressive win of all time. I'm not going to say he's back. You know, he proved all the fraud check comments wrong. I'm not going to say that yet, you know, but he did realign his career. He got himself back on some momentum after a bad, vicious KO loss, which is good, but still, this is a good example of being pushed way too fast. 3 wins in the UFC, you're in main event against Robert Whittaker. That's rough. That's a big step up, and it got him with a big KO loss. A big KO loss he will never forget. He'll never get that chin damage back. You know, every time you get KO'd, your chin's a little worse. So I'd say overall that was a net negative for his career taking that opportunity. But, you know, what are you going to do about it? You know, I'm sure he doesn't regret it because if he had won it, it would have been the exact opposite. He would have been one fight away from a title shot. So, yeah, very good fighter. I think he has potential to get a belt. No, what did I just say? He doesn't have potential to get a belt. I don't think so. But he does have potential to be a top 5 guy. But we'll see. Okay, next I want to talk about a very obvious one. All right, Benoit Saint-Denis. Okay, dude. I think he is coming off of a win. He just got back in the win column. All right, dodged a fucking bullet with Joel Alvarez pulling out because, dude, he was going to fuck Benoit up. Okay. You saw what was the fight? What was the kid's name? Propolic? You saw the fight with Propolic at 315. He looked bad. Like, he was getting fucked up on the feet at times. Not getting, like, fucked up, but he's getting his head pinged back. His boxing defense is terrible. His head movement is non-existent. I'd say Benoit is still not really ready for the top 10. He's really not. And looking back, man, this dude got so much glaze, and I believed it just because it was so universally, like, abundant from the whole community. I believed that shit. What the fuck, man? He beat No, what's his name? He beat... I don't even fucking know. Thiago Moises and, like, Matt Frivola, Gabriel Miranda. Like, all these wins aged so bad, you know? And, like, I don't know what we saw before. He's still good. He has dominant grappling. He still takes down every fighter in the first round, always. He has very, I mean, except unless you're Renato Moicano. But, yeah, he's just different, I guess. Yeah, he usually takes every fighter he fights down and dominates them. Vicious ground and pound. Gets the back very easily. Strong, big for the division. Good scrambles. Threatens submissions constantly, can get them as well. Doesn't just threaten them like Ian Gary. He actually can get them, okay? He has a very nice squeeze, good rear naked choke. But, again, he was just pushed way too fast. That Dustin Poirier fight, I know we called him out, but that doesn't mean he was ready for it. Doesn't mean it should have happened. They obviously won, like, other nationalities and country champs. You know, he was from He was from France. You know, Paris, whatever. They won a French champ, obviously. Okay, they failed with Cyril Gane. They're trying to do this because it's actually a pretty big market over there, seeing as they go there once a year. You know, I think they've been going there once a year pretty consistently, which is interesting. Because, yeah, there's not really too many good French fighters now that we look at the roster. But they got a few. But, like, moral of the story, like, to sum it up, Benoit got pushed way too fast. I actually think the Dustin Poirier fight was the only bad one. I don't think Renato Moicano was that bad of a bounce back fight, because once you're pushed up the ranking so high, you kind of have no choice but to go like not too lower, because if you're fighting a top 5 guy, you're not going to go fight a 15 guy in your next fight, okay? Just because you lose. You're going to go from like a 5 to like a 10 or a 9 or an 8, which he ended up doing, because I think Renato Moicano was ranked around like 8 to 10 at that time. So, yeah, it didn't work out for Benoit. Unfortunately, he lost to Dustin. That was the nail in his career that just exposed his defense and his cardio for being fucking terrible. He's still a marauder. He's still fun to watch, and he still can have potential in the UFC. But if he had fought Joel Alvarez, he would have been coming off of 3 brutal finishes, proving he was not ready for the top 15 at all. Okay? Yeah. Good luck to the kid, but he was just pushed too fast, and I'm scared for his future, because that Propolic guy was a free win, basically. So he's calling out like Dan Hooker and Justin Gaethje. He'll probably get one of them. I could honestly see them matching him up with Dan Hooker, but we'll see. Next fighter I want to talk about is Asu Almabayev, okay? And this is like borderline, right on the edge of being too fast. I just think the matchmaking did him wrong, okay? Manel Kape, dude, that was such a bad matchup for him. I'm not salty. I picked Asu Almabayev, okay? I'm not just saying this because of that. But, man, Asu Almabayev needed one more win. He was, like, ranked, I think, 10, and Manel Kape was, like, 6 or 5, or maybe 7. It made sense because the rankings with flyweight are just, it's so easy to get into them, okay? You literally just need 2 or 3 wins and you're top 10, basically. So, I know this doesn't really sound like the best argument, but I don't think this fight should have been made, okay? I think he needed one more win to get into the, like, top 8 of the elite, okay? Because the top of flyweight is very good. There's a big difference between the top 8, 9, and then the rest of the rankings, I'd say. I'd say it's pretty, because it's so easy to get into the top 15. Anyone can get in there. So I'd say, like, the top 8, top 9 is elite. I'd say that's, like, the elite, and it's a big step up if you go from, like, top 10, top 15 to fighting one of them all of a sudden. And Manel Kape has only lost, like, once in the UFC, I think. Dude, this guy just fucked him up. Asu looked so lost in the feet. I think just one more and he would have been ready for, like, a top 8, top 7 guy, okay? Like, should have given, like, an Alex Perez or a Tim Elliott, someone like that. I think Asu needed one more, but now he's coming off of a brutal loss where he got eye poked, TKO'd, because Manel Kape cheated like a motherfucker. He would have won anyway, but, I mean, most likely, but you never know. Yeah, I think Asu is pretty good. He is really dominant wrestling. If he can actually get the takedown, if he can actually get the body lock, get the clinch, and execute it, he usually will get it. So he's pretty good. I just think he was done dirty with that matchmaking, man. Manel Kape is not an easy guy to fight and beat, okay? I just think that was a bit too soon. One fight too soon, okay? Which I know is kind of like cherry picking, but, I'm saying a lot. But it was hard to pick fighters for this video, okay? And I do think he's a good example of it. I think just 1 or 2 more good wins in the rankings, and then he would have been ready for, like, a Manel Kape. Like, I don't know, man. I don't even know, okay? But, he was pushed too fast. Okay, and the last fighter I would like to talk about is Carlos Prates, okay? Again, this is a bit of a cherry-picked pick, but this is another one that was fucked by short notice, man. He had to fight Ian Gary on short notice. I know it wasn't that short of notice, but it's not even about the short notice, okay? It really isn't. It just doesn't make it much better, It would have been perfect. He was going down the exact NPC route you always do at welterweight, which is proven to work, okay? You go through the Magnis, okay? You go through the Neils, You go through Neil Magny, and you go through Jeff Neal, okay? You go through the Neils. You go through both of them. And then you're ready for, like, a top 5, top 6 guy, okay? You go through the Neils first. You gotta show and prove and get that experience that you're able to beat them, Get the experience of beating them. But he didn't get it. He pulled out with an injury, Jeff Neal, which is unfortunate because it would have been perfect. Carlos Prates wouldn't be coming off of a loss to P-Head. It sucks. Now, do I think he would have beat P-Head with one more fight of experience, 6 months, 7 months from now, getting a lot better because he's still very young in his career and just in life, getting better from fight to fight. At least he should be, which it does look like he is, okay? Obviously, you can't really say someone's getting pushed too fast or got pushed too fast when they literally are KOing everyone in their path. I think he was on like a 5-fight KO streak in the UFC, which is crazy, impressive. Not saying he didn't deserve that shot, but again, it was just one fight too soon. If he had the extra experience, if he had the extra time to train and learn and get his cardio a little better and his IQ a little better, he could have beat P-Head, okay? I'm not coping, all right? He won 2 rounds. I'm probably coping there, but, whatever, all right? Prates, you let us down. I also think he just got given this opportunity because of the Fighting Nerds plot armor and the aura. He got pushed a little too fast, okay? Fuck, man. Jeff Neal pulling out ruined his trajectory of his career so bad. But it's okay, all right? Those are the fighters I wanted to talk about in like the last year and a half that I think have been pushed way too fast, okay? It's unfortunate. Their careers are a bit fucked because of it. It sucks. It really does, but they'll recover. The good ones will at least, okay? And these aren't really like fraud checks because the point of the video is they were pushed too fast, all right? They just weren't ready for those levels of competition. So it wasn't really a fraud check in any of these examples. It was more they got thrown into the lion's den too soon and they fucking got eaten. They sunk, all right? You sink or swim, they sunk, okay? That's the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.